Good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen, wie geht es Ihnen? I have Lennart Rother from Impossible Cloud today, and I'm really excited to chat with you, Lennart. How are you?
I'm perfectly fine. It's such an awesome opportunity to get in chat with you over here.
Oh, very, very good. Where are you exactly these days?
Yeah, these days I'm located in Germany. Our headquarters is in the north of Germany in Hamburg, but basically we are all around the globe, mainly in the US. But today you catch me in Hamburg.
Fantastic. And I'm so excited to chat with you and Impossible Cloud, great name, by the way, and understand the inspiration behind the creation of this unique decentralized cloud service based on Web 3.0. So tell us about the inspiration and the genesis of Impossible Cloud.
Yeah, um, Impossible Cloud is basically our name. It's also our mission. We are moving borders. This is, of course, based on the technology we're using, but it's also based on our aspiration we are having for the company. You know that the cloud space is really an advanced industry, and we are part of this industry because we want to make the impossible possible, which is basically building the next generation of the cloud.
Fantastic mission. Let's start with decentralization because that's such a hot topic. We've been through this journey around blockchain and DeFi and Web three. But how does Impossible Cloud take that concept and apply it to cloud storage, cloud services, and how is that unique and differentiated in the mind of your customers?
Yeah, let me just maybe start with a brief explanation of what we do as a company, and then I can
Hmm.
come to the differentiators. So
Perfect.
you can see Impossible Cloud as the first decentralized enterprise-grade cloud provider. So that mainly means for us that we offer a cloud platform that is based on Web3 technology and is utilizing decentralized infrastructure. So in essence, what we do is we operate an enterprise-grade network of data centers to provide cloud services with better performance, better security, better resilience, and for a lower cost. And the goal is mainly to bridge the gap between Web3 technology and B2B customers, because so far there are already so great Web3 applications out there, but B2B customers so far couldn't really adopt to them for various reasons. And this would then be, for instance, one of our differentiators. We enable B2B customers to really use Web3 technology in the cloud space for the benefit.
So tell us about that. What is the tech stack, or what is your approach to designing Impossible Cloud that might be different from another cloud service that might be interesting and have some capabilities? But what exactly does decentralization bring from a customer standpoint?
Yeah. So to make this very tangible, I would just speak about our first product. We will ship our first product, make it generally available within the next days. And this is a cloud storage product. This cloud storage product, well, is not in a super innovation to the market. Cloud storage is known, cloud storage is solved. But we say, based on decentralization, cloud storage can become so much better.
Hmm.
Um, I mentioned that we operate a network of data centers. And with this network of data centers, what we basically do is we utilize their spare capacity. You probably also know that a lot of the capacity that is available in data centers is not used. About 50% of the utilization, of the maximum utilization of data centers is not used. So what we do is we make this not used utilization accessible. And this is then bringing, for instance, the cost advantages, but at the same time, it's also bringing the compliance requirements that our enterprise customers need. It also brings the security aspects that businesses need to adopt to this solution. So that's also why we claim this to be the first decentralized enterprise-grade cloud, because it's decentralized, because it's operating on a network of data centers, and at the same time, it's enterprise-grade because enterprises, they need compliance. they need security regulations. And this is ensured because we run in verified and compliant data centers.
Fantastic. So you have a whole network of data centers I saw on your website, and you talk about total cost of ownership being 50 to 75% lower given your strategy and your architecture. That's a pretty bold claim. Tell us about how you see adoption going
Mhm.
as you roll out and ramp up.
Yeah. So you also know that basically working in the cloud space is complex when you look at sales. And that's the same applies also, of course, to cloud storage. Cloud storage is one of the niche products within the cloud industry. However, cloud storage is often also a foundation for the entire cloud strategy because it just has to work. And that's also why we've picked cloud storage as our first product. And you mentioned that we can offer this for a very fair amount of price. And it's not only that it's cheaper, our pricing model, and that's also one of our main drivers, is a lot less complex compared to other providers. We know from customers that we are working with that, for instance, not only the total cost of ownership, but especially the price complexity is the main driver for making companies to switch. And to put it in a nutshell, so the one argument, okay, it's cheaper. The other one is you know what you're going to pay.
Hmm.
And this is also a sort of innovation that we're bringing into the market, that we want to enable our customers really to understand what is their bill going to be when they run with us.
Well, I love that. I love that. Yeah, particularly in this environment of cost cutting and downsizing and rationalization, the year of efficiency, as Zuckerberg calls it. That sounds like a pretty compelling argument. You also make a pretty bold claim that the centralized model of mass adoption of cloud services is not sustainable for the future. Tell us about that, because the hyperscalers seem to be doing very nicely based on the sort of centralized model, as it were. And so, what's going to change?
Yeah, um, that's a great topic for us to discuss about. Overall, it's fair to say that with big tech, the market power is just in a just in a small oligopoly,
Mhm.
and this is preventing innovation. You mentioned that we see that this model, that the centralized model of cloud infrastructure, is unsustainable for the future, and you can have different angles looking at this. I think a very fair angle to look at this is, of course, directly from a product perspective. We say at Impossible Cloud that this market structure is leading to inherent infrastructure and business model limitations that just hold back these technological innovations. Because when you're investing billions and billions every year into your infrastructure, you definitely don't want that business model to change.
Mm.
And that's fair. We are also actually big fans and supporters of cloud service from big tech companies, because in our understanding, they paved the way. They paved the way for the mass adoption of cloud services. And this is a tremendous effort and a tremendous success. But we also say it's also time to move on to build the infrastructure for the next version of the internet. And this can also then be seen from different angles. One of my favorite angles is, for instance, the sustainability perspective. It's just ineffective to have data
Mm.
centers with a lot of spare capacity. Um, I also mentioned the topic of price. This can just be done cheaper. And what we also know from customers is that when you are a customer of a big tech companies, then you can also compete with them. Then you might compete with them in other business areas. For instance, thinking of e-commerce, thinking of media entertainment. And as a cloud customer, you do not want to be in a competition with your vendor. These are different angles that we see why this market has to change, and why we are also very sure that this will change, because there are just also so many digital innovations that need a different infrastructure, thinking of AI, thinking of IoT, which need to rely on a more decentralized cloud service.
I love it. So we see the current avalanche of ransomware attacks. We see data leakage and cloud servers being open to the public every day. We read these stories. How will Web3 and a decentralized, architecture offer better data privacy, data protection, and the kind of resilience when it comes to what we see today? What's a
Yeah. Yeah. So when we speak to customers, we usually put this in two different perspectives. The one is the perspective with the best security measures that we know from the big tech providers, that you have encryption in transit, that you have encryption at rest. But these are all the basic features. That's nothing new to the market. New to the market is basically what we can bring with Web3 to make it more secure, to make it more available. Um, you definitely heard of the single point of failure of centralized cloud services. And this is, of course, something that with multiple layers and a network of data centers, we don't have with Impossible Cloud. Impossible Cloud is not having single point of failure. It is operating with a global infrastructure. And this is one of the bigger arguments why we also claim, okay, this service from Impossible Cloud is outage proof, because a network of data centers is not going to fail. A centralized model can always fail, but not when you're running an entire infrastructure.
Oh, that's amazing. Um, you mentioned this is cloud storage base, your first application of Impossible Cloud. Let's look a little further. What other services, decentralized services, can be enabled? I think through your cloud and through your architecture over time.
So it is obvious that the amount of cloud services that can be delivered through Web3 technology is enormous. So when we look at one of the largest companies in the space at all, we're speaking of over 200 services. And when we look at it from a decentralized perspective, 50% would benefit from a decentralized infrastructure. But of course, in the very short term, we won't build 100 decentralized cloud services alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we rely, of course, on a strong community. We rely, of course, also on our strong team. But we also see, of course, cloud services where it is more likely that they lead to rapid adoption. And rapid adoption, I think, I'm not telling secrets when I'm telling, okay, we are, of course, looking at a compute-related service. Because decentralized storage and decentralized compute in a combination offer just the edge performance that is needed by the latest technology, by AI, by IoT. If you can have this directly at your edge, this is just an enormous advantage for our customers.
Fantastic. So you're in Germany, where you guys actually take data privacy and privacy in general actually seriously, unlike the U.S. I imagine there are a lot of use cases for privacy with your architecture, and having data locally, or not in a centralized server somewhere offshore, and complying with all sorts of data protection, data privacy regulations. Is that something that customers will be interested in too?
Very much agree.
Hmm.
But where I disagree is that US customers are not interested in this. We also
Hmm.
see that US customers are very interested and more interested in getting secure and compliant cloud service solutions. And one benefit that we can bring with decentralization is the topic of geofencing. Um, with traditional cloud services, of course, you can also distribute your data between different data centers. But with a network of data centers, you can deliberately make the choice, okay, in which area do I actually want to locate my data?
Wow.
Should it be, just as an example, should it be 200 miles around my headquarters? Should it
Wow.
be in a different location entirely? And this is something that we can offer, but also very transparent for the moment. This is a functionality that we are currently running only in the US. However, we see that this is, of course, directly going into the direction of being compliant with data sovereignty measures that are imposed for good reasons. And of course, in the European Union, we have very strict regulations, but we also see, as mentioned in the beginning, that the US customers are really interested in these kind of solutions.
Oh, that's exciting. Um, You recently raised $7.6 million. Congratulations! That's no small feat given the current environment. Yeah. So what's the plan? Is scaling up obviously the technology? Tell us what the next few months or years will look like.
Yeah. So the headline of 2023 is mainly getting cloud storage to market adoption. And the funding we received is just going in this direction. It is used to accelerate our market entry with the cloud storage product. And that's also why it's great that we speak today. This is mainly directed at the US market. We are huge fans of the US market because it's super transparent. It is the lead market. It is the lead market with the strongest competition. It is the lead market with the most demanding customers, and that is where we want to play. So we use the funding, especially, of course, for making the product in a shape that is enterprise grade. And you know that for marketing and sales, you will need some funds to get really in touch with the relevant partners and the relevant companies.
That's fantastic. And you claim to be the first Web3 tech cloud storage cloud services provider. I imagine some of the big players out there will be gunning for this soon as well, the Dells and the IBMs of the world. Um, are you worried about competition? And it is a very hyper competitive space.
It is a hyper competitive space, but on the other hand, there's a growth. I mean, last year it was only 20%. The year before it was always about 30%. So it's a fast growing market. So we see, of course, the competition. I also always say that competition is something good because you need to develop. You're challenged to provide a better product. On the other hand, we see tremendous space for growth, especially with solutions that are currently in everyone's mouth. Speaking of AI, speaking again of IoT, these are solutions that are, from our perspective, just waiting for a more decentralized solution because they require performance that is very difficult to get through centralized architecture.
That's a great point. So tell us about you and the team. Where are they? Who are they? How are you guys organized at the moment?
Yeah. So I think it's very fair to say that we at Impossible Cloud, we are leading this with a very experienced tech founder team. It's overall very senior. I remember one of our investors saying that with Impossible Cloud, and also, of course, with many other companies now joining the Web3 space, the serious entrepreneurs are really getting into Web3. And for me, this is also very much how it feels. So our founders, they have a track record in building really publicly traded unicorn companies. Among them is Good Game Studios, it's Airbnb, it's Iron Mountain. So really a mix of really digital companies and cloud services, which brings the experience here to our team. Myself, over 10 years experience in building startups, different roles from founder to business development, and now rather growth oriented. And we all share this goal that with Impossible Cloud, we can really bring something to the table that is making life of humanity better, because we say we need a better internet for the future of humanity. As we have it now is unsustainable. We need to build this in a sustainable fashion.
I love it. Well, rooting for you. Thanks so much for joining us here. Hope you'll make it over to Boston or New York City in the future, and we can grab a cafe and share some more stories about how customers are you actually using Impossible Cloud. Can't wait for an update. But thanks so much, Lennart, for joining and sharing your really unique perspective. It's so exciting finally seeing Web3, hitting really practical B2B enterprise applications. It's something, a lot of us have been waiting to see for some time through the crypto chaos. And it's really inspiring what you're doing. So thanks so much. Vielen Dank. Nächstes Mal machen wir das auf Deutsch vielleicht und bis später.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks so much. Tschüss.